Good afternoon to one and all present here. Let us begin with an inspirational saying by Swami Vivekananda. You have to grow from inside out. None can teach you, none can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul, which will guide through darkness and achieve enlightenment. Myself, Sri Sachin, reader from the Department of Prosthodontics, Crown and Bridge. On behalf of Swargiya Dada Saheb Kalmik Smriti Dental College and Hospital Nagpur, welcome you all for this online CD activity on a very interesting topic, Tooth Shade Guide to Next Generation, by a very known and a renowned national speaker, Dr. Sachin Chaware sir, professor and postgraduate teacher at MGV KBH Dental College and Hospital, Nashik. Welcome you, sir. I now request Dr. Jaykumar Gade, sir, Professor and Head of the Department, to introduce our speaker. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jayashree. Very good afternoon to one and all. I welcome today's guest speaker, Dr. Sachin Chaware, all the teaching faculty from Swargiya Dadasaheb Academic Smriti Dental College and Hospital, and my dear students. As we all know, improper selection of shade leads to failure of the restoration. So, you need proper selection of the shade. Otherwise, patient won't accept restoration how good you made. Today, we have a guest speaker, Dr. Sachin Chaware, a renowned prosthodontist with us. He did his post-graduation from Government Dental College and Hospital, Mumbai in the year 2003. He has a very vast experience of 17 years as an undergraduate and postgraduate teacher. He is professor and PG teacher at MGV KBH Dental College, Nashik. He has numerous international and national journals with 4 systematic review and meta-analysis in PubMed journals. He had conducted pre-conference course on systematic review and meta-analysis in prosthodontic research and simplified research methodology in prosthodontics. He has written book on aesthetics in fixed partial denture. He also developed first Android mobile digital application for natural tooth set selections. He is presently working on speech sensory device for children and adolescents of autism spectrum disorder and for which he has received provisional patent from Government of India. He also invited as data analyst at University of Lisbon, Portugal. Such an experienced person, I request him to please go ahead with his presentation. Please, Dr. Sachin.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful and delighted word. I have special feeling that I'm presenting today, renowned institute, Swargiya Dada Saheb Karmik Institute, and sincere thanks to management, principal sir, and the head of the department at Sujirwat Gade sir. So without wasting much time, I'll begin my presentation. With sincere thanks to all of you and all the faculty, student, and colleague. I hope my voice is clear and slide is visible.
Yes, your voice is absolutely clear, sir, and your slide is also visible. Please go ahead
Okay.
with the
Thank
presentation.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. So I'll not waste much time. Okay, two shade selection is most important topic in the clinical dentistry. Okay, nowadays many restoration were failed due to improper shade selection. aesthetic failure due to improper shade evaluation is second cause for remake of ceramic crown. And of course, the primary reason is inadequate, incomplete tooth preparation or impression. Then why it is true? Why aesthetic failure due to improper shade evaluation? We have to find this answer. Why there is so much significance of aesthetic? Hence, I have done small survey. It is not like a survey that you for the publication for the study. It is just the common information. We have collected the general information from the practitioner. So why there is a problem with the shade selection? I have assigned the duty to few of my students, colleagues. Just ask the practitioner whether what kind of shade method they have used, what kind of shade selection they have performed the clinic, whether they have taken the shade before the tooth preparation or after the tooth preparation, before the impression, after the impression. What are the shade guides? What are the instrumental method? What is the measure they have taken? How is the lighting condition? What are the background illumination? All this information we have collected. Surprisingly, what we have observed, 50% of dental practitioner has a casual approach for selection, means they usually call the technician after the tooth preparation and impression. And they are hardly taking any interest while taking the shade selection. Most of the work performed by the technician. Of course, the 20% to 26% practitioner has a moderate to serious approach for the shade selection. They usually perform the shade evaluation before the tooth preparation. They are taking proper photograph. They are transferring all information to the technician and with all necessary measure. Now, the question is that why this 50%, 54% dental practitioner has casual approach? They are just doing casually, or there is a reason. The most important reason we have find that subjective variation, which is principally depend upon the surrounding illumination. That means when they observe the tooth, the light which is reflect, it is difficult to identify exact amount of chroma and hue. So the lightning condition that create a subjective variation, that is the reason they are difficult to find whether it is A1 shade, whether it is A2, A3.5. And most important thing, comparison between A1 and B1, because B1 has a higher brightness. So where the light reflect on the tooth structure, getting a lot of confusion in the practitioner mind. And that is the reason they lose the interest. Same thing happened with me. In one of the evening, I have performed the shade selection without taking proper guidelines for the lighting condition order. Ultimately, the restoration was inferior in terms of shade. However, the patient were adjusted, patient doesn't have any problem. But that is not a thing. I feel myself guilty being a posthodontic. The shade selection is wrong. So this is the two things, the subjective variation, the surrounding illumination. These are the two most important factor. That is the reason the most common careless approach for the shade evaluation. Now, where reflection back to the eyes, that is the most important thing. How the light reflect and how this reflection block the observation of the color of the tooth structure is most important point for the shade evaluation. For example, there are two types of reflection. When the light fall on the tooth surface, diffuse reflection and specular reflection. Diffuse reflection really does not create any problem because they reflect with a short wavelength of light. So they allow sufficient observation of the dentin inside the enamel. Specular reflection is the most important part. Now you see the adjacent tooth. If you observe, there is a clear-cut specular reflection on the mesial lobe, distal lobe, the adjacent tooth structure. This specular reflection block your eyes to observe the exact amount of tooth color present on the tooth structure. Okay. Now, when the light fall on the tooth structure, it create an angle with the tooth surface. If the angle is too much acute, then there is a maximum specular reflection. Of course, the angle is straight or more acute, the specular reflection will be less. I'll show you the subsequent diagram. When the light fall on the tooth surface, if it is high critical angle, less amount of light refracted inside the tooth structure. Okay. And if the hydroacceptic is still well arranged, or if it is well arranged, then the light pass maximum to the enamel D junction to the dentin. Okay. So this critical angle is most important because once the light enter into the tooth structure, if the hydroacceptic crystal are well arranged, the light pass at the D junction. From D junction, small amount of specular reflection taken place, but most of the light will enter into the dentin and you can observe the inside the dentin because dentin is the structure which decides your color of the tooth, not enamel. Enamel only show your brightness, translucency, opalescence. We will see that part. That means when the light come in the oblique direction, and if it is created the critical angle with the two stages, and if it is more acute, you will generate a maximum specular reflection. And that is the reason light which is coming in the parallel direction, it almost minimize your specular reflection, and it will give maximum diffuse reflection. You can observe the two stages. You can see the compare that is two diagram. If the light is coming in the oblique direction, another light is coming in the straight way parallel to the long axis of the tooth, and that create the diffuse reflection, and you can observe the two structure, and you can observe your shade. Okay, hence the light placement is more important topic, because every time you cannot take it into the natural weather condition. We have to take the shade into constant intensity of the light which is present in your clinic. All right. Now, second part is that dentin is the most important structure to define your color. At the cervical area, dentin has a parallel tubule. At the middle third area, it is oblique, and at the incisional area, it is perpendicular. And that is the reason incisional surface, it is not good surface to evaluate the shade. Most important shade evaluation performed on the middle third as well as cervical third, because dentinal tubule are parallel as well as oblique direction. So you can observe much on the dentinal tooth structure. Okay, because maximum hue and chroma provided by the dentin. At the incisional third, light will either scatter, either will reflect, either will refract, and most importantly, blue and violet light will immediately reflect, and amber and yellow light pass through the incisional third. So incisional third has a maximum reflection, refraction, scattering. That is the reason it is not an ideal surface for the two shade evaluation. And for the same reason, the instrumental method, that is Vita spectrophotometer, the probe is always placed on the middle third of the tooth, not on the incisional or cervical. If you place the middle third of tooth, the dentinal enamel junction is balanced the enamel as well as dentin, and you will get the proper amount of shade. Okay. Structural orientation arrangement of dentinal tubule seems to play a significant role, because the dentinal tubule, after the enamel, dentinal tubule is the next part. It will define your tooth structure. If the dentinal tubule are well arranged, usually you will find a younger tooth, then the light will reflect. But the dentinal tubule which is present immediate to the pulpal surface has high opacity, and that is the reason there's a maximum reflection. The same thing we observe in the older teeth, where the maximum attrition taken place, maximum amount of tertiary dentin or repeated dentin present, the dental tubule not properly arranged. Hence, it is difficult to observe the amount of hue and chroma that area, because due to loss of the enamel, the dentinal tubule it maximum exposed, and that is there's a maximum confusion between the A3.5 shade, A4 shade, or most yellow shade, that is D shade. Okay. Generally, nobody uses D shade. We mostly focus on the A to A4 point. That is the most important problem in case of the dentinal tubule irregular arrangement. Okay, and that is the reason dentinal junction is considered to be a glass layer, high diffusion layer, billion zone, because dentinal enamel junction, it allows the passage of the light. If the hydroxyapatite crystal is well arranged, usually it is not well arranged at the inside the surface area, but at the D junction, it is well arranged. Hunter bands, all this structure create a reflection, and tooth have a highly attenuated loss of enamel. This reflection is maximum. So amount of passage of the light to the D junction to dentin is most significant property which define your shade. Okay, this small video that which dictate about the basic shade guide. If the audio is not visible, I can go for the second schedule, but we will see the basic shade selection method. Before that, we just review shortly the three color properties of the shade selection. That is hue, chroma, and value. Now, hue is the basic color of the tooth. And most important thing that chroma will decide what kind of hue is present. Sometimes you will observe that there is a multiple hue present on the tooth surface, because some area it is yellow, some area it is white, some area it is patchy, some area it has few discoloration, some area there is no discoloration. So multiple hue is present.
So this multiple saturation of the chroma in the different area that will decide the hue. So in simple language, hue is the basic color of the tool. Now chroma is a significant property of the two shade selection, and dentinal surface will decide the chroma. Maximum amount of dentin present at the cervical area and the middle third area. Hence the chroma is higher at the cervical and middle third area than the incisional area. In younger age group, the chroma is decreased because value is high. As the age advances, chroma will increase. And it is again increased due to habit like bottleneck chewing, palm chewing, attrition, erosion, and other extra habits. So chroma will going to increase. All right. So you have to adjust your ceramic composite restoration as per the value of chroma. Value is a significant property of the color, and if the clinician can best manage in his composite or ceramic restoration, if he or she can best manage the value, even if there is a slight disturbance for the hue and chroma, the final aesthetic outcome will not affect. Hence, where you manage the brightness, darkness, and lightness in your restoration, you can give better aesthetic outcome. So value is highest at the middle third due to the balance of the dentin and enamel at the middle third. The best example is that Vita Spectrophotometer probe is always placed on the middle portion of the tooth due to balance amount of dentin and enamel at the middle portion of the tooth. Okay, so value is the most significant property than hue and chroma. Before going for the shade selection method, we will just shortly review the two shade selection criteria. You always want accurate and reliable shade, consistent shade. Be completely free of subject to errors. If the one person has taken one shade, another person a different shade, it is not acceptable. Similarly, the background condition, background illumination, light condition should not affect on the tooth shade selection criteria. Best way to send information to laboratory technician, that is the criteria for the second generation shade selection method, whether you want photograph or other things. No variation in repeatable shade match. Suppose you are taking shade right now, and same method, if you are taking the shade and it is different, it is not acceptable. Equal shade match on a flat and curved surface. If you are taking the shade on the central incisor and if you are taking the shade on the canine, it should be equally matched. Actually, this is the drawback of Vita Easy Shade Spectrophotometer. Cost dependent, cost should be not higher for the two shade selection method. We have two methods for two shade selection, that is visual, in that we are using commercial shade depths, and second the instrumental, computer assisted device like colorimeter, digital camera, attached software, and spectrophotometer. Now, before 2005, the most commonly shade selection method was Vita classical shade guide. This shade guide is based on the hue and chroma. The 16 shade depths arranged on the basis of hue and chroma. Value has less order, that's why it is called less order color distribution shade guide, because some area value is higher, some area value is low. Okay, so this shade guide is basically depend on the hue and chroma. It is divided in 4 parts, that is A to A4 red yellow, B to B4 yellow, C to C4 gray, and D2 to D4 red, yellow, and gray. So depend upon the chroma, it is divided into the 4 parts. But if you observe, maximum people have A shade, that is A to A4, 80% population. B group have a 15% and C and D have 5%. Sometimes it is advisable that you can, if you don't want to use C and D, you can modify A to A 3.5 and A4 shade. But it is not proper advice. I mean, say once you have C and D shade, why to go for modification with A3.5 and A4 shade? Like patient with tetracycline staining, heavy discoloration due to amelogenesis imperfecta, palm chewing, bottleneck chewing, abrasion, errors, if there is exposure of maximum amount of yellowish chroma, you can use the D4 shade. I mean to say you can use the D shade. Similarly, in the B group, if you observe maximum whitish appearance in the younger generation with maximum brightness is present, you can use the B group shade. Okay, even the population list, but if you take the proper shade and proper ceramic, you can provide a better shade match. Now, one more observation that, for example, if you select the shade group B1, but technician will use the A1 because most of the technician purchase only A to A4 shades, the A to A4 ceramic. Okay, that is the biggest problem of shade mismatch. If you are taken B1, B2, and if the technician use A1, A2, then this is the biggest problem of shade mismatch because both have a different hue. Because this is have a white tissue and A1 has a yellow issue. So that is a mismatch of the shade selection. Okay. Now with the Vita classical shade guide, if you want to select the hue, the cervical area of the tooth and cervical area of the shade depth should be closely matched. The chroma is less saturated, it's difficult to select the hue for the tooth with the shade guide. By selection of the chroma, the middle portion of the tooth surface and the middle portion of the shade depth should be closely matched. I already told you that the middle portion of the tooth has balanced amount of dentin and enamel, so middle portion of the tooth you can use for the chroma. If you constantly focus on the tooth for the chroma, you will see blurred image, that is retinal fatigue. How to eliminate? You just take the rest and you just see the TV screen. Most of the clinic have TV screen, laptop screen, you just see the TV screen. And again focus on the tooth surface for the better match with chroma. Now value is difficult shade selection with the Vita classical. What company suggests you can arrange the shade tab as a value order shade tab B1, A1, B2, D2, A2, C1, C2, D4, A3, D3, B3, A3.5, B4, C3, A4 and C4. If you arrange in this order, then partially close your eyes. What will happen? It will diminish the cone sensitivity and increase rod sensitivity due to less amount of light enter into the eye. And the tooth fading first has lower value. However, this method is much more critical and difficult in the clinics. Okay, so what you can do, alternative method, you can take the two shade tabs and take the picture. We will discuss the picture part in the DSLR camera and smartphone. But shortly I will tell you, you can take the picture, convert that picture into black and white, then you come to know about the value. For example, if you are confusion between two value, then always select the brighter value, higher value. For example, if you have A2 and B1, you can select the B1. And most important thing that the chroma will change from central incisor to the chroma, lateral incisor have a higher chroma, canine has a higher chroma. Okay, and there are values decreases. So if you are replacing the single tooth and have a maximum patchy area appearance, you always choose the high brightness. If you are using the all 6 tooth, then there is no problem. But if you are replacing the only single tooth, then you have to use the brighter value. Okay. Multiple hues in chroma present. I already told you that some area it is A3.5, some area is A4, A2, whatever it is present. So it's difficult to match the shade in such a kind of situation. Okay. The selection of the value already much difficult with the shade selection. And if the multiple chroma hues present, the shade selection will be again increase the difficulty. That is the reason we can use the Vita 3D Master. It was introduced after 2005. Eliminates all the drawback of Vita classical shading. It has 30 shade tabs, which is arranged as per the order of value, chroma, and hue. Now you can see that the LM are mentioned on the shade tab. L means yellow hue, M means middle hue. That is a combination of yellow and red. R means red hue. Okay, it is selection on the basis of that hue selection on the basis of LMR. For example, just you can see the right side. There is a hexagon is present. The middle dot, there is the 3 dots are present, and below that 3 dots are present. Similarly, the middle tab, 3 tab present above the middle tab, 3 tab present below the middle tab. And just immediately below the hexagon, you can see the L to R. That means it's changing from left to right, that is yellowish to reddish. Okay. Similarly, the chroma will be changing from pale to saturated. 1 is pale and 3 is saturated. So 2 is the middle. It is not pale and not saturated. For example, if you selected 2M2, that means 2 2 is your value, M is the middle hue. It is combination of yellowish and reddish. And 2 is the middle chroma. It is not saturated and not pale. For example, if you selected 2R3, R means the reddish hue and 3 is the saturated chroma. Okay. Now, while selection of the value, you have to focus on the middle portion of the tab. On the middle portion, there are 3 tabs above, 3 tabs below. Like hexagon on the right side, center dot, 3 dot above, 3 dot below. So middle tab is a value order top. You have to focus while shade selection for the value. Okay. Just place your shade tab close to the patient mouth and focus on the middle tab. That is a value tab. Okay. Now move your shade tab from right to left, that is darkest to lightest. Select your value tab from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. Okay, which is closely matched to your value of the patient tooth. After you perform the selection of the value, then you go for the crown. Once you selected the value, remove that tab from your shade guide and find out the tab in front of the, close to the patient teeth. And which chroma is closely matched to the patient tooth, you select that. Similarly, for the hue, move from right to right, and which shade is closely matched to the hue of the patient, you select that. For example, here it is selected 3M2. 3 is the value, that is value selected from the third group. M is the middle hue, that is a combination of yellow and red, and 2 is the chroma, that is not saturated, not pale. Okay. Thereby you have to select the two shade as per the value, chroma and hue. Okay. Now, if you have a problem, if you have a subjective variation with the value, then you can take the two tab and match with your two surface. Okay. If you observe the subjective variation, that is the biggest problem of the shade guide method. Then you go to the final conclusion, which shade is best match. You always avoid such a kind of situation. If the female patient apply dark lipstick, red lipstick, it change the value and chroma of the tooth surface. Okay, once you remove the lipstick, the tooth will appear much more light. So it is best advised to the patient to remove the lipstick before taking the shade. This is the best article which describes the hue chroma value of the Vita 3D Master. Actually, Vita Classical and Vita 3D Master has the biggest drawback of subjective variation. And if you are taking the shade in the evening, tired situation, eye or fatigue, if you have a color blindness problem, then shade selection method is much more difficult. So you can review this article for the best shade selection method, and I'll stop this video here. Now, as you know that the Vita 3D Spectrophotometer, Vita 3D Master evaluation and record delta value for the research purpose. Now, why it is much more accurate? Because it's record the color difference less than 0.4, which is impossible for the human eye to detect, because human eye cannot detect less than 2 delta value the color difference, and that is the best advantage of Vita Spectrophotometer. The most recent article by Zhu strictly stated that irrespective of high standard used in the Vita shade guide, still the shade selection as much as inferior than the Vita Spectrophotometer. You can review article, you can collect the information in the article, because this article dictated what is the problem with the shade guide method. Now, the studies have documented there are two disadvantages of the Vita Spectrophotometer, that is edge loss error effect and Hawthorne effect. Edge loss error effect means the shade evaluation is improper on the flat tooth surface as well as curved tooth surface, that is central incisor and canine. Due to reflection of the light from the curved tooth surface, the shade evaluation is not proper with the Vita Spectrophotometer. Hawthorne effect is recently described by De Silva in 2017. According to author, Vita Spectrophotometer does not provide image to the laboratory technician. That is the reason the ceramic buildup will affect on the final shade.
Apart from the, what we observe, the cost and maintenance. Cost of the equipment is very high. It is almost touching to 1.5. Again, I have asked several practitioners, why don't you purchase the Vita spectrophotometer? The cost is too much high. In that cost, we can purchase the new equipment, new chair, new thing for the clinical practice. And shade guide are sufficient to give proper shade. Apart from the cost maintenance issue, because this is based on the software instrument, a lot of error is come. We have to send this instrument back to the original country and the company. Just few days ago, I asked my student that Vita spectrophotometer is working. He already told me that this instrument has sent back to the original country and it almost took 1 year time. And that could be the reason why several clinicians still preferred visual shade tab. Cost and maintenance error, and they found that they've given sufficient shade and patient will adjust it, and which is the most important reason to turning to the visual shade tab. Now, what we observe the hue, chroma, and value. Apart from the, in the second generation shade guide, we have to much focus on the transparency, opalescence, fluorescence, surface texture, glossy, luster appearance. Because subjective and descriptive properties, and if you match with your restoration, either composite ceramic provide bad shade match as compared to the hue, because hue, chroma, value you give the objective appearance. But detailed surface texture, which is present on the true surface, if you measure and if you give proper prescription to the laboratory technician, or if you're doing composite restoration, it provides your best shade match. Translucency, usually observe the translucency present inside the lady and young enamel. If the high translucency is present, then it is difficult for the technician to give the exact shade unless and until you are not provide proper digital prescription. If you are not provide proper photograph to the technician, it's difficult to build up the translucency in the enamel as well as for the clinician in the ceramic restoration. Now, opalescence effect. Generally, opalescence effect is usually observed at the incisional third area. It is called halo effect. At the incisional third area, as I already told you, some amount of light will scattered. Some amount of light will pass through the incisional third area, like amber yellow light, blue and violet light will be reflected or scattered. And that is the reason it creates a halo effect at the incisional third area. But actually there is no problem because current composite ceramic have that property to build up the halo effect. So you have to observe the halo effect. When you take the photograph, you decrease the brightness and increase the contrast, you will get to observe the halo effect. That is the reason you need a proper photograph and you can observe the halo effect and you can transfer to a laboratory technician or you can modify your composite restoration. Then metamerism, that is optical anisotropy. Certain restoration appear different in reflected light and different in transmitted light. They will appear high bright in the reflected light and different in appearance, high reflected into the transmitted light. So again, the same thing, the composite and ceramic restoration have that property today of metamerism. They can build up with a proper reflection of the light and provide a better shade match. Then fluorescence effect, like opalescence effect, it is a property of enamel. Fluorescence effect, it is a property of dentin. Small wavelength of light from the dentin tubule get reflected black, which give the little brighter appearance. Okay. The same thing, the current porcelain and the current composite have that property, fluorescent property. Generally, fluorescent property you can best describe when you stick the fluorescent star onto the wall. In the darker light, you can observe the reflection of the light. That kind of reflection you cannot observe the dentinal, but a small amount of light, small wavelength of light reflected from the dentinal surface, which create a fluorescence effect. Okay. So if the technician build up the porcelain properly with the fluorescent effect, provide the better match at the bright sunlight. Okay. This is the most important, the surface texture, gloss appearance, because if the surface texture is maximum present, and if you're given the plane effect, there is a drastic reflection between the two surfaces. For example, when the central incisor have a maximum matte appearance, surface roughness, horizontal crack, horizontal line, vertical line, orange peel appearance. So what will happen? All the surface ripples create a small amount of wavelength of light which get reflected back. And if you're given the plain ceramic, then there is no matching with the adjacent tool. Hence, it is important that how you duplicate a surface roughness in your composite and the ceramic restoration is more important. for the sake of reflection of the light. Okay. Now, for example, if you take a frosted glass appearance and if you compare with the frosted enamel, what will happen? The light will reflect back. If you take the plain glass or plain enamel, light will refract and some amount of light will reflect. So the light passage will be equilibrium. And if this enamel is much frosted appearance, usually observed in the hydroxyapatite crystal area or fluorosis area, there is a reflection. So that create again there's a problem of shade matching, which usually happen with the visual shade guide method. So these properties are much more important to transfer to the laboratory technician. And for this reason, in the second generation, you need the proper photograph. You can say digital dental substitution to the laboratory technician in order to he can duplicate your ceramic, or if you are using proper photograph, you can build up your composite as per the surface texture, frosted appearance, glass appearance, luster, all these properties. So you can match with your adjacent structure more precisely. Now, what is the thing you can provide? Best way is the digital precision color. It is the DSLR camera. I will not going to discuss about the technical part of this instrument. That is separate topic. I'll just mention how it take the proper photograph. DSLR camera has a cross polarized filter, have a ring filter. We can adjust the setting. This instrument absorb maximum reflection and will give the provide more accurate to structure. Okay. More robust internal construction, wide range of adjustable functions, lens can be changed depending on what situation require. Most important thing, it gives the minute detail. We'll see the photograph. For example, you can observe in this photograph, you will go to observe stippling, distinction between the inflamed and healthy gingival cleft, minimum specular reflection on the canine area, clearly visible inside the translucency, tooth shade, clear discernible enamel type, composite filling and stain, everything you can observe. Even if you have a dark appearance of the gingiva, higher melanin pigmentation, still this picture will give the best photographic image. Okay, it will show that pre-gingival margin, stipple attached gingiva, cervical composite, which is not possible to identify with the naked eye, superficial enamel stacking, clearly visible enamel translucency, stain enamel complex, defective digit composite, everything you can observe in the dark appearance. We'll go a little darker image. Still, it provides a better stippling, clearly defined mucosal junction between the epithelial attachment, clearly visible mamelons in the inside the ledge, interproximal inside translucency, pre-gingival margin gingival, everything you will observe in the darker light also. As I told you in the frosted appearance, it provides the best picture to the technician for the frosted appearance. You can see clear visible of the frosted enamel lobe, enamel mamelons, everything you can visualize into the DSLR camera. Now, if you want to take the photograph with the digital shade guide, what you do, you place two shade tab, different shade tab at the corner of the mouth. You must hide the metal part of the two structure and you can take the photograph. By taking the photograph, you can identify the hue and chroma. If you observe it inside the ledge, place the shade tab close to the inside the ledge, but do not touch to the inside the ledge. Okay, it will provide you the best information about hue and chroma. Now about value, what you do, you convert the color of photograph into the black and white photograph, so you will get a lightness or darkness on the shade guide as well as on the tooth surface. So this is the best way your digital prescription by DSLR camera. Now, the disadvantage of the DSLR camera is that you need a separate cost, separate space in the clinic. Sometimes if the setting disturbs, you have to reset again. Sometimes you need a separate device to hold a digital DSLR camera. So you need the instrument which is pocket handling. We can give equal picture like DSLR camera. And that is the reason current smartphone dental photography have a very precise sensor quality, resolution, lens sophistication. Current mobile dental photography has dual camera with increased optical zone. If you talk about the iPhone, if you talk about the current Samsung or Vivo phone or whatever the phone, they have a dual camera with increased optical zone, sharpen quality picture, pocket handling, super fast autofocus. I will dictate that part in the mobile application. Optical image stabilization, light sensitivity with low noise. Okay. Every company trying to improve their quality of the camera, and that is the reason you can take much and much better picture. Harden article has explained best about the photography, mobile dental photography. Actually, he has discovered a small light cross-polarized filter. It is called Smile Light Mobile Dental Photography. It is a cross-polarized filter. It consisted of 8 LED in the central, which give the ring flash limit, which is equal to the DSLR camera, and 6 LED light on the lateral side, which give the tin flash effect. So what exactly this cross-polarized filter is doing? It absorbs all the reflected light, and it will give the better tooth image. Okay, Smile Light MDF emits 5500 Kelvin continuous light, which allows the best lighting condition. Generally, this is the temperature we simulate with. Other Cocolux cross-polarized filter, you can attach your mobile and you can take the photograph. Both have a same function. So if you want to for better documentation, you can take the cross-polarized filter. There are several articles currently which have dictated about the accuracy of dental photography, professional versus smartphone camera. They have explained all the advantages, disadvantage, how to use the smartphone camera, what distance you're supposed to maintain, and how you minimize the error as compared to the professional DSLR camera. This is the most important article which dictates how to take the raw mobile photograph. Again, accurate shade image matching by using smartphone camera. TAM has mentioned all the properties, criteria, how you use your mobile camera while taking the photograph. And this is the most recent way how to use the software application to modify your photograph after taking with the smartphone photography. Okay, I'll just stop sharing here. I'll go for the next presentation. Now, whatever the image we have observed with the DSLR camera as well as smartphone with cross-polarized filter, this image is good for the documentation. You can use for the clinical documentation like case presentation. You want to publish as a case report, pre-op photograph, photograph, which is very good. But for the shade evaluation, we do not require that precise information. Shade evaluation, we understood the properties of the light. Hence, without cross-polarized filter, so you can take the mobile digital application for the natural tooth shade reproduction. And that is there are few applications available, like simple digital shade selection of anterior direct composite. This application only used for the composite. However, the problem of this application that we have to add more amount of information in order to customize this application. Afterwards, this application showing the amount of composite buildup, amount of translucency, and amount of effect of the composite. Second, Vita Mobile Assist app was developed efficient communication between the dentist and dental lab. Basically, this application based on the Vita Spectrophotometer, in that the reading of the Vita Spectrophotometer we can transfer to this application via Bluetooth, and it provides the image for the laboratory technician. So this application is purely for the technician, only for the Vita ceramic. This application, very simple application, it does not give any color, but this application convert the Vita 3D master to the classic and classic 3D. It doesn't have any other role. The IPS image shade navigation app. This is used for the IPS image composite ceramics, which detect the amount of translucency in IPS image restoration. This is purely laboratory based application. One more
Katana zirconia, full crown zirconia ceramic. It is used for the laboratory technician for the full ceramic zirconia. Display Seroma introduced Celtra Press ceramic guide app support the dental technician. And this is dental calcs. It does not give any tooth shade, but it provides photos and a video application as a clinical shade match for the demonstration to the patient. Now, recently, the tooth shade application for the iPhone has been introduced. Actually, they are using separate device, which is called scanning device. This scanning device record the color or tooth shade, and via Bluetooth, this scanning information transferred to the mobile application and it provides the image. Author of this application has proposed that they provide accurate tooth shade evaluation, but there is no comparable data is present. I mean, they have not performed the study. And moreover, we have to use the separate scanning device for the iPhone. So after observing all the color properties, all the properties of mobile camera, DSLR camera, after the understanding the importance of Vita Spectrophotometer, visual shade guide, and Vita 3D Master, we have decided we will go for the mobile application for the Android phone. And we have developed this application.
Sir, we cannot see the video.
Video not visible?
No, sir.
Okay, wait. Okay, no problem. Now it is visible. Okay, the video is visible now.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir, it is not visible.
Okay, no problem. Wait, just hold on. Wait, just hold on. Digital application. Now it is visible. Hello. Our aim.
No, sir.
Now it is visible.
No, sir.
Video is not visible.
No, sir, video is not visible.
Okay, wait. Okay, just hold on. I hope now it's visible.
No, sir, it is not visible.
It's not visible. Okay. Just hold on. Okay, I'll try for the last attempt. If it is visible, okay, otherwise I'll try at the end of the lecture. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And this is for the labor DSLR camera mobile application with Govt. We have developed the mobile application. The mobile application.
It is visible.
Sir, only the webinar presentation screen is visible. We can hear the audio, but there is
Now
no
it is visible.
visibility.
Now it is visible.
No, sir.
It's not visible. Okay.
We can have at the end of the presentation, sir.
Digital application.
Okay, this is visible, na?
Shade serial production. Cause for
Now this is visible.
just simplify the task of mobile
This
application.
is visible.
Easy shade
No, sir.
and
No,
easy shade
wait.
formation.
Wait. This is visible. Hello, this is visible.
No, sir. No video is visible. We can have the
Video is not
presentation.
visible. It is slide is visible.
No, sir. Slides are also not visible.
Okay.
I can see only the webinar arrow presentation
Okay.
screen.
Okay. No problem. Wait. Now visible. Now it is visible.
No, sir.
Shit. Now it is visible.
No, sir.
Hello.
No, sir. You just share the screen with the PPT presentation.
Okay. Okay, just hold on. Now it is visible.
You are now unmuted.
It's still not visible, na? Hello.
Still not visible, sir.
I think it was working very nicely. Suddenly, what problem? Wait, I'll just go back.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
Hello. Okay, sir. Okay. Abhi, now I have done that. Abhi aa raha hai? Abhi is coming? Yeah, it was working very nicely. Why I disturbed? Now it is visible? Hello?
No, sir.
Not visible? Now visible? Now visible?
Wait,
Hello?
wait. Yes, sir, visible. Please go ahead.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You are now
Please go ahead.
Now video is visible?
Yes,
Video is visible?
visible, sir.
Okay. Thank God. Okay. All right. After previewing of my previous video, we have developed this mobile application. Our aim was not to compare with any other. Our aim is just simplify the task of private practitioner or simplify the task of the clinician for the shade selection. Actually, I have got this idea from one of the episode of Crime Patrol in which the cop unable to find the victim. Finally, they have performed the finger matching, and from there I have developed this idea. Fortunately, I got a student who has much interest for the photography. So we have developed this mobile. Initial days, we have faced a lot of problem. We are unable to find exact software, unable to get proper spectrophotometer developer. But day by day, all the problem gets solved gradually. And today we have developed full complete mobile application for shade selection for Android phone. Now, the advantages of this mobile application, sorry, it is simple and easy communication to the laboratory technician, equal shade matching, cost effective and maintenance free. I'll tell that part later on. It controls surrounding illumination, eliminate all form of subjective variation which is present with the visual shade guide system, accurate, reliable and consistent shade matching. Now, how to use? This mobile application is copyrighted and registered under DENTURE trademark. It has on the home page there are two options: start camera, load from the file, and on the left side of the screen there are few options. You can use that option for your setting purpose. So start camera means you can take the picture and you can go for the shade selection. But it is better advisable take the picture previously so that you can take proper photograph, you can crop it and you can provide better shade match. Just download the application from the Google Play Store. Register with your Google login ID or any other login ID. It has complete 3 days free trial. Okay, you do not have to pay anything. Afterwards, 300 per month or 3,000 yearly. Okay, if you like this application, you can use the subscription for 300 per month or 3,000 per year. As I told you, there are two options, start camera and the load from the files. Once you start the free trial, this icon will be bold appearance. How to take the photograph for the two shade image? Most important step is the semi-reclined patient position, because this is the most relaxed position you can take the photograph. The cheek and lip should be sufficiently retracted. There is sufficient cheek and lip retraction to expose the maximum amount of gingiva. Mobile camera placed 25 to 35 centimeters from the tooth surface in a parallel direction, so you can take the proper image and eliminate all kind of reflection. Don't over dry the tooth surface, you will not get the proper image. No flashlight, sufficient white light, and one source of light. That is only requirement. You can use any mobile. Only thing that it has more than or equal 12 megapixel camera. Now this is complete incorrect image. You have to expose sufficient amount of gingiva in order to get proper tooth image. These all are incorrect image because there is no exposure of the gingiva. Cheek and lip is not sufficiently retracted, and image are taken in different angle direction. As I told you earlier, the mobile camera should be parallel in direction of the tooth surface. Like these all are the correct image. If you find any difficulty for the lip retraction, you can take the help from your assistant. Okay. Once you complete the step of proper photography, you can go for the cropping. Don't crop the multiple tooth at a one time. Crop only single tooth. If you crop multiple tooth, you will not get the proper image. So crop only single tooth, because the scanner will scan only one tooth at a time. It will not scan multiple tooth. There are 9 scanners from incisal to cervical and mesial to distal. Okay. Once you complete the cropping, the scanner will scan all 9 area of the tooth surface, and once you click on the process button, your shade will be appearing on your mobile app. Now, if you will observe that there is a A2 and B2. There are blue appearance. It is suggested that either the image is not proper quality or you have not done the proper cropping. Okay. Otherwise, it will give overall shade in the A1. Similarly, we have taken this picture from the previously published on the internet. The shade dictated in this image, it is A1. So we have cropped this image and scanned this image, and you got the shade A1. Okay. The most important thing is that don't focus on the incisal area. As I told you earlier, the incisal third area, the maximum amount of reflection, scattering, and refraction. That is the reason this area will not be the proper shade match. You have to focus on the middle third as well as the cervical third area of the tooth surface. In this area, there is a less variation as compared to the incisal area, and you will get a maximum shade appearance at the middle and the third and the cervical third area. Okay. This one more image. The Vita classical is showing C1. We have scanned this area, and what we observe, D2, D3, D2, D2, and C1 at the middle third area. Means if you look at this photograph, the cervical area, the chroma is difficult to observe. You will observe the grayish and yellowish appearance. That is the reason the cervical area D2, D2, and C4 is coming. And if the ceramist use same type of ceramics, which given by the shade, it will give the best match. If you try to use the A3.5 or A3 or A4 shade, there's a lot of difference at the middle third and cervical third area, because the chroma is different that area, cervical and middle third area. Some area it is a whitish, some it is alias, some area it is yellowish and yellow reddish appearance. Okay, and that is the best advantage of mobile application when you observe multiple chroma and multiple hues. This is one more image. It has multiple hues as per the dictated in the photograph. We have scanned this tooth surface, and what we observe, there is no multiple hue present on tooth surface. We have taken the image of the shade guide, and what we observe, it is A1. Then we have taken the image of the lateral incisor. It is again A1. That means it is clearly stated the central incisor doesn't have multiple hue and chroma. It is pure A1 shade receiving on the tooth surface. Okay. There's one more image. Actually, this is not a proper image. If you observe, the tooth image is much blurred appearance. And if you observe, that it is a high grayish and whitish apparent at the middle third cervical thread area. We scan this area, and what we observe at the middle third A1, and B2. That means B2 is present as well as A1 is also present. So this color of the middle third and the cervical third area of the tooth structure, it is turning towards a whitish to gray appearance. Okay. So scanner will catch the area and will reflect the area as per the amount of hue and chroma is present that particular location. Okay. So this mobile application, it is very simple to use for the practitioner. It is very easy handling. It eliminates all your subjective variations. The important thing is that you have to take the proper photograph, proper tooth image. And once you take the proper tooth image and once you've done proper cropping, you will get the accurate shade evaluation on your mobile application. I'll stop here.
Hello
Now,
everyone. This video demonstration is about tool shade selection and
No, video is not visible.
sound is not visible, na?
the selection of the color.
Audio is coming, but video is not visible, sir.
Videos. Okay.
For the restorations of the
Then
teeth.
problem.
Many restorations fail due to the inadequate shade selection. The color
Now it's coming.
Hello everyone. This video
Yes, sir, it is coming.
about tool shade selection and introduction to a next generation tool shade selection system. The selection of the color of the natural tooth is the most significant and challenging task for the restorations of the teeth. Many restorations fail due to the inadequate shade selection. The color of the final restoration should match with the natural color of the tooth, particularly restorations like laminates and veneers, which signifies the importance of shade selection in aesthetic dentistry. The two main methods for shade matching are the conventional visual method using shade tabs, typically tooth shape, and the instrumental method using color measuring devices. The visual shade guide is the most common method for shade selection in a day-to-day practice. Currently available tooth shade tabs are Vita Classical Shade Tab and Vita 3D Master. They are preferred as they are economical and easily available. The disadvantage of visual method is the subjective variables and the physical variables. The subjective variables are variability of experience, age, eye fatigue, and color blindness. Physical variables are the extreme light conditions, type and intensity of the light source, and the angle of incidence. Coming to the instrumental method, this is Vita Easy Shade 5th generation. Parts of it are the device, the charging stand and the calibration unit, and infection control shade. The instrumental method of color evaluation significantly reduces the subjective errors of the human shade visualization. The most significant disadvantage of an instrumental method is the cost of the equipment and the maintenance of the device. The next generation of the dental shade selection is the mobile application. DENTURE. It is a different approach to the shade selection method by software analysis of the image captured by the mobile camera, and the image calibration is done for the various segment of the teeth for the image which has been taken. Coming to the clinical scenario, this clinical demonstration will focus on various methods of tooth shade selection. From visual shade selection to the instrumental shade selection, and introduction of the next generation dental shade selection, which is the mobile shade application. Coming to the first method of shade selection, it will be the visual shade selection through two types of shade tabs or shade guides. First will be the classical shade guide and second will be the 3D master. Coming to the visual shade selection, the Vita classical shade guide has been used. Considering the visual shade analysis, we will start with the darkest shade to the lightest shade. Here, the Vita A1 shade has been selected. While considering the visual shade selection, there can be personal bias of the dentist. Let us see what the second operator selects. The second operator, she will be selecting the shade. According to the second operator, the shade selected was V1. Here, there can be a personal bias according to the individual. Now, the shade selection will be done by Vita 3D Master. In considering the shade selection, it will start with the three steps. First, we will be selecting the lightness, that is the value, from darkest to the lightest. In the second stage, once it has been selected, the second stage is the selection of chroma. From these two shade tabs, according to chroma, the tabs will be selected. And the third step is the selection of hue. According to hue, the shade will be selected. In this case, 1 and 1 will be selected. The biggest disadvantage while considering the visual shade method is the light conditions. Different light conditions impart different types of shades. For example, in the natural light, this is the shade. Lights on. Start. In the dental light, again, the shade evaluations become difficult because of the light intensity. In the low light setting or the clinical light setting, again, the shade selections become difficult because it will impart again the different shade. In a very dim light situation, again, the visual shade selection becomes hard. Coming to the second method of shade selection is the instrumental method. In this, we have taken Vita Easy Shade 5th generation. Select the settings and the tooth which has to be selected. Place on the middle of the tooth. Press the button. The light will be focused. And we got the shade, which is A1. Coming to the next generation dental shade selection, which is the mobile application. Now we will focus on the mobile application. Here, once the mobile has been taken, we have to install the shade application. Once it is open, start the camera. Now the position of the phone while taking the photograph. Centralize the phone, which will be perpendicular to the tooth surface. A sufficient light source will be available. Focus on the selected tooth, which has to be selected. Adjust the light and capture the photo. Here, there is a photo. Once it is done, we'll start with the cropping of the photo. Once the tooth has been selected, the 9 points, that is the autofocus points for shade selections, are being arranged on the tooth. Then proceed further. The shade is being evaluated and A1 shade has been selected for maximum selection. This is how the next generation dental shade selection, the mobile application, will work and give the proper analysis of the tooth shade selection in the 9 parts of the tooth which has been selected. The advantage of mobile digital shade matching application over the visual shade method and instrumental shade method is that it minimizes the subjective and the physical error which are been encountered in visual shade selection. It is also accurate to the instrumental method like reflectance spectrophotometer and also is cost effective comparative to the instrumental method. This mobile application is going to be the next era for dental shade selection.
Right. Now we have performed one small randomized control trial which is registered in the Central Trial Registry of India. We have to evaluate the clinical performance of mobile application as compared to the Vita 3D Master and reflectance spectrophotometer. We have performed the study on 2 centers. Center 1 used for the metal ceramic crown, Center 2 for all ceramic crown. We have selected 15 patients in each center. So there are total 30 patients. We are using 3 methods for shade evaluation. That means 1 crown for each method. That means 1 participant has 3 crowns. 15 participant equal to 45 crowns. That means 45 metal ceramic crowns and 45 all ceramic crowns. Total 90 crowns were there. The inclusion criteria for the study was the participant who required full coverage restoration one of the central incisor with adjacent central incisor untouched. If the adjacent central incisor is heavily discolored, highly restricted, it was excluded from the study. Investigator performed all shade selection prior patient sent to the tooth preparation to the operator. And all the information of the shade selection were blind to the operators as well as participant. Participant means the patient. Operator will perform all the tooth preparation, impression and working cast, which further hand out to the investigator. Investigator dispatch working card as well as impression to the laboratory technician. Laboratory 1 used for the metal ceramic crown and laboratory 2 for the all ceramic crown. Both laboratories were highly equipped. They have performed all the ceramic buildup and further hand over to the investigator. Investigator performed the coding to hide the shade information and they recorded delta A value between the ceramic crown and the shade. The shade that used in the method. The coding was performed in such a manner that X was used for the all ceramic. That means X1 for visual shade guide, X2 for mobile application and X3 for Vita spectrophotometer. And similarly Y1, Y2, Y3. After completion of coding, all the crowns were handed over to the operators and participant for the clinical acceptance scores. We have performed visual analysis score in that 0 to is highly acceptable, 3 to 5 acceptable, 6 to 8 not acceptable, 9 to 10 rejected. Although operators were experienced, but due to variation in their opinion, we have used the visual analysis scale. After completion of clinical acceptance scale, we further hand over to the operator hand over all the crowns to the to the investigator. Investigator decoded all the crown and find out the shade information. What we observe, Vita 3D Master recorded the highest delta E value, highest color difference value for both metal ceramic as well as all ceramic. It was more than 2. Mobile application record the lowest delta E value for the metal ceramic crown. However, Vita spectrophotometer record the lowest delta E value for all ceramic crown. There's a marginal difference between the mobile application and Vita spectrophotometer. In case of clinical acceptance scores, Vita 3D Master recorded only 1 accepted crown for the metal ceramic group. However, there is no acceptance for all ceramic crown. Metal ceramic crown group, mobile application observe highest acceptance and there is a marginally lower acceptance for the Vita spectrophotometer. However, the situation is opposite in case of all ceramic group. All ceramic group, Vita spectrophotometer observe highest acceptance as compared to the mobile application. In the discussion part, again, the instrumental method has more accuracy than human eye, which was considered with the previous study result. That means the subjective variation background elimination will going to affect on the Vita 3D master shade guide as compared to the mobile application and the Vita spectrophotometer. The difference between Vita spectrophotometer and mobile application, actually there is no difference in the delta E value, that is the color difference value. But in all ceramic group, Vita spectrophotometer observe highest acceptance. 3 crowns highest acceptance than mobile application. Out of these 3 crowns, 2 were a 3.5 shade. And there's a problem for mobile application that it cannot record the yellow hue sensitivity between a 3.5 shade and A4 shade. It always show A4 shade. Moreover, the previous study has reported that a 3.4 shade ceramic surface has little sensitivity for a 3.5. And that is the reason the 2 crowns were higher than the Vita spectrophotometer. We have already discussed the advantages of the mobile application, but I'll just focus on Hawthorne effect. Mobile application have complete control on Hawthorne effect, which was discussed by De Silva. Because once the ceramist or laboratory technician perform his ceramic buildup, and if he taken the photograph, and he transfer to the mobile application, he or she can evaluate the ceramic buildup shade compared to the shade given by the clinician. So he can manage his shade application by using the via mobile application. Okay. So in the conclusion part, mobile application may indeed become a more alternative to visual shade guide and cost efficient option than shade selection. However, this study has few limitations. It is performed only on single teeth. So the multiple area of the tooth, like other aesthetic property, we have not concluded. Hence, we require more clinical studies. This is the study result. It's shortly going to publish in the Contemporary Clinical Dentistry in the March issue. Our next update will be the iOS application, the mobile application for iPhone. We are going to include a gingival aesthetics, smile design, color selection for maxillofacial prosthesis. This mobile application, it is very easy to use, pocket handily. It eliminates subjective variation with low cost, and it provides your shade image even if you have eye fatigue in the tiring situation. It provides a better shade evaluation for clinician as well as for the laboratory technician. And my sincere thanks to the organizing committee, sincere thanks to the principal sir, management, head of the department, all the colleague, faculty and the student for your patient listening. Once again, sincere thanks from my side. Hello.
Yeah. Sir, it was a nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
Your videos are very good and they are just catchy. We are supposed to learn many things from you related to shade guide.
Yes.
Your innovative mobile app is very good. It is a very handy tool so that every practitioner across the India can use it. In case if we want to plan any kind of multicentric studies, or can you extend your help to our postgraduate students, sir?
Anytime. You are most welcome. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Sure. So if we need any kind of help from your side, sir, please extend your kind help to us. It was a
Yes,
nice
sure.
presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Please accept the certificate of appreciation on behalf of Department of Prosthodontics, Swargi Dada Saheb Karmik
Thank you.
Dental College and Hospital, Nagpur.
Yes. Thank you very
This
much.
has been already emailed to you on your email ID, but please,
Yes.
as a token of respect from all of us, please accept this.
Yes. Thank
Yeah. Sir, please
Thank
accept
you.
this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Over to you, Jayshree madam.
It was a wonderful presentation, sir. I now request Dr. Jasmeet Singh Chandok sir, Reader, Department of Prosthodontics, to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm Dr. Jasmeet Singh from Department of Prosthodontics. First of all, I would like to say a big thanks and gratitude towards our speaker for today's session, Dr. Sachin Chaware sir, for such a wonderful presentation and sharing his knowledge and guiding the students. Our heartfelt gratitude towards our Honorable President Shri Sharad Kalmik sir and Honorable Secretary Shri Hemant Kalmik sir for providing a great learning platform for all students and staff. We are also grateful to our Dean, Dr. Mahesh P. sir, for his guidance and support. Also, I would like to thank all the staff, students, and interns of Swargi Dadasaheb Kalmik Smruti Dental College and Hospital for joining today's session. A special thanks to Mr. Ashish Molkar, department and support for the support. And I hope to see you all for more such sessions in near future. Thank you all. Over to you, Dr. Lauti, sir.
Sir, I have some questions.
Hello.
Sir, can I ask? I have
Yes,
some
yes.
questions, sir. Can I ask?
Yes, Rishikesh, you can ask. Chowdhury sir will answer your queries.
Good evening, sir. Sachin, sir. Dr.
Yeah,
Rishikesh.
I'm there. Yeah, Rishikesh.
Sir, yeah, mobile
you.
app is very fantastic job, sir. Mobile app. Sir, can we use this mobile app in our clinic also?
Yeah, you can
On
use.
our patient?
Yes, you can use all the patient. You can use for your all kind of aesthetic restoration.
Okay,
Exactly.
sir. Okay.
We have developed only for the clinical application. We have simplified the task of shade selection. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you
Yes.
can use for the mobile application. You can take the photograph before composite restoration build up. You can take after composite restoration to correct all this form. All right.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Dr. Sachin sir,
Yes.
my head of the department, Dr. Gade sir, is busy in some administrative activity.
Sure.
Please accept
Yes.
thanks from him. He has already told me to convey the thanks to you. Please,
Yes.
please accept the thanks from him. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you, one and all.
Yes, sir.
Over to you, Jayashree madam.
Thank you, sir. I now declare the end of session.
Yes.
I request all the participants to fill in the forms to receive certificates. The link is provided in the chat box. Thank you.